Hello everyone, welcome to the JWT tutorials. This is part 2, wherein we will see actual implementation of JWT token, how it could be used. Now remember, this is just a demo to see how it is used. Actual implementation will depend upon your application use case, right? How you use it. Now here, what I'm doing is I'm using a post. So let's say if you're trying to log in, I'm using basically a REST API. It's a Quarkus application that is running. I'm using a REST API so that when a user logs in, when an authentication is done, what happens is you could verify if it's a successful login, if the username and password is right, you can generate a JWT token and pass it along with the response object. So before this step here, what you would have is validate username and password. Okay. So you validate that, and if it's valid, continue here. Okay. Just like you generate the session ID and pass the session ID to the client side, here what you would do is generate a token and pass it with the response object. And when there is any other API request, which is like you want to get a resource, this is just a hello, but this could be any resource, right? It could be, say, get user details, get account details, or get account, get user, get transaction, anything it could be. When you call a get, or let's say not just get, it could be post. You're trying to post something, add a new user, add a new transaction. In every case, what you would do is just like when you have session IDs, you pass the session IDs, you would pass the JWT token here. You would pass the JWT token to the method parameter, and before doing anything, you would first verify the token. Okay. And if this method does not throw any exception, okay, and it will throw an exception if the JWT is invalid. If it does not throw any exception, then go ahead with the application logic. Now, what does this mean? What this means is if this method was get user, get transaction, add user, add a new transaction, all the further logic would go here. Okay. Let's see the simple application, the simple use case in practical example or actual in work. Now I'm using Postman since I do not have a fancy UI. I am using Postman to make the call. So first I will do the post call. From the response, I will get the JWT token. Then I will do the get call and pass the token and make sure that this does not throw any exception. Okay. And then we'll go into the JWT service and see how it generates or what libraries it uses to generate the JWT token. Okay. We'll go through it in a couple of minutes. So let's go here first. This is Postman. Here, I'm just passing, since my Quarkus application is running on 88, login, username and password. Of course, you would not pass in actual real life application. Password would not be a plain text. It would be encrypted and passed or whatever is the credential. So it's test. So you send. Okay, so I got a JSON back, JSON web token back. As you can see, 3 parts, 1 dot, 2 dot, 3rd dot, right? 3 parts. Copy. You go here. So this is just the get call. If you can see here, the type of the call is get. I will pass the appropriate token and then I will send the request and it just returns, okay, valid user, because it's still valid. Valid user is coming from here, right? Valid user. All right, so this was just a demo how you would use it. Now let's see the code, how you will sign the token. There is also code examples of how you will encrypt, though that is not shown in the demo, but it's both there. Now to sign, you need keys. In real life applications, you would have your keys and stored as a part of resources. Your both public key and private key will both be part in resources. Maybe you can generate them yourselves, or your organization, if they have some DevOps team, they would handle this, or whoever handles the security. They are responsible for giving you public and private keys. Those keys, the name of the keys, the location, you will have to specify in these properties in your application.properties file. So these are the properties that you need to specify in the configuration of your application. So see JWT sign key location, JWT encrypt key location. So see for encryption, you're giving the public key. Okay. Key encryption algorithm. Okay. Content encryption algorithm. These two are optional, but these two you do have to give. Okay. The library that I'm using mostly is this Nimbus Jose JWT. This is the library. I think it comes bundled when you're using Node.js. It comes bundled with it. I'm not sure, but you can verify. But I'm using this library basically for encryption and all, and com.auth0 for signing. Now for demo purposes, what I'm doing is I'm using Java to generate the public and private key. In real life applications, this is not the scenario. As I explained, in real life applications, you would already have the same public and private key available in resources, which you will specify in application properties. Okay. Now go here. You would have, I generated the key value pair, generate JWT. Now this is called from here. When you log in, you generate the JWT. These two are the claims. And as I mentioned, claims are nothing but just the parameters that the JWT or the JSON elements that you want as a part of your payload or as a part of your signature of your JWT. You use a builder, JWT builder, again with claim. Claim is nothing but the elements that you want in the JSON and expires 300 seconds after it, issued at. Okay, so see, remember in the first video when it was theoretical, it was all these here. You can build it. There are multiple width. If you see here, like dot width, you have array claims, long, double, expires at, header, issued at, issuer, everything you have it. Okay, with not before. Remember NBF, that is that none before, null claims, payloads. So a lot of things you have it. Okay, so that is all part of the builder. Then you sign it. So once you build the token, you sign it, you specify the algorithm, RSA 256, that's the signing algorithm. You use the public key. Okay, so now here I generated the key pair, you use the public key. In real life application, this will be used, the public key will be used for signing. Oh, sorry, you pass both public and the private key. Okay, you sign it and then you return it back. So this is what we got here. This key part, the last part after the dot here. So this is nothing but encrypted, encoded header. This is encoded payload, base 64 encoded payload, base 64 encoded header, and this is the signed algorithm. So this was the logic which is used. Next, verifying the token, okay, which is called when you make any other API call. Like for example, in when you use session IDs, use the session ID, right? So that is here. So here you can get the claims, you pass the token to it, you use the JWT parser. Okay, this is part of the Nimbus JWT. You pass it, JWT token, you can get the claims, you can verify the claims here in the sense anything's what do you call custom claims. If you have your application, say for example, any passphrase or any particular field value, you could validate here, you could get the claims. Okay, so it's nothing but claims is nothing but a key value pair. You give, because it's all JSON, right? So it's key value pair. Now you convert that into JWS object. Now here it is, you're verifying the RSSA verifier. You verify it using the public key. Okay, and if it is verified, it's valid. Otherwise, what happens is you throw an exception, JWT validation failed. Okay, if there is any exception in the verifier, invalid parameter exception would be thrown. Okay, so this is in short. Okay, now these two methods, though they are not covered. So let's say if you want JWT also, what you do is again create a JWT object, you encrypt it using the public key, and then if you have to decrypt the token, again what you do is you get the key, verify it, and if it's verified, here it is, the decryptor. So you use the private key to decrypt it. Okay, so again you encrypt it using the public key, you decrypt it using the private key. So this is in simple in Java how you would use it, JWTs. Hopefully this was a little useful. You have better understanding now of what the theoretical concepts you listen to it in the video. I'm going to upload the code and probably you could download it and play it around yourself. Okay, because it contains all POM and everything. So you should be able to launch it in your IDE. Again, feel free to post any comments, questions, suggestions, everything welcome. Thank you again for your time and take care. Bye. See you all again in the next lecture.